Hello everyone, in this video we are going to see about the chef and puppet. Let us see first of all what do you mean by chef and this puppet. Chef and puppet are two of the more popular DevOps tools. Chef is a powerful automation platform that transforms infrastructure into code. So what does it mean is we define an infrastructure. From the infrastructure, this Chef is able to convert the infrastructure into code. So that means the code is automated. A Chef is an open source cloud configuration that translates system administration tasks into reusable definitions, otherwise known as cookbooks and recipes. Actually, what it means is once you configure the cloud and then the chef is able to translate the system administration task. That means what are the tasks you are doing, the housekeeping work or the administration task, whatever you do, those tasks can be automated. That means those tasks can be recorded as a repeated like a module or as a macro, like, so they can be again used for the definitions as well as the, so they can be reused. So these definitions are reusable and it is also called as cookbooks and the recipes. So once you define a configuration and once you define the administration task, that can be used repeatedly for different cases. Chef runs on a solid mix of platforms. That means it can run on any type of platform like Windows, Enterprise Linux distributions. In addition, Chef also supports cloud platforms including AWS, which is the Amazon Web Service. Let us see now what is a Puppet. Puppet is an open source system management tool created for centralizing and automating configuration management. It includes its own declarative language to describe the system configuration. So Puppet has its own declarative language to describe the system. So it is also one of a tool which helps to centralize and automate the configuration management. So both are the tools. Chef and Puppet are the tools in the configuration management, and we have some qualities of these tools. The first is the availability. In this context, availability is defined as how accessible the tools are during unscheduled service interruptions. That means while on service there may occur some interruptions which is not scheduled. Okay, so those interruptions can be managed. Okay, so those can be managed. That means the availability is confirmed. So that is the point here. It says it is defined as how accessible the tools. That means the tools are available even if there is an unexpected interruptions. If Chef primary server goes down, a backup server takes up the slack. That means if the system tends to go down, so in that time the Chef has a backup server concept which will just change the situation. Whereas in Puppet, it incorporates a multi-master architecture. So if the active master is down, there is another master to fill it for. So differences, Puppet is a multi-server, multi-master architecture, whereas Chef has a backup server. Okay, so this is how they are able to manage the availability of the tool. So next concept is the terms and the concepts. Since the configuration managers abstract the configuration files, we must be familiarized with the terms and unique to each tool. So there should be a documentation where we can be thorough with the terms or familiar with the terms that is used in each of this tool. The Chef works with the cookbooks and recipes while Puppet works with manifest and modules. So these are all the terms we are using here. So as we have seen, the Chef is able to convert the configuration infrastructure into some rules, reusable modules. So that is called as cookbooks and recipes, while Puppet uses the concept of manifest and modules. Let us see what are these. Recipes and manifest as a rule describe single concepts. Okay, there may be a single concept by which we can administer, the tool helps to administer the configuration, whereas the cookbooks and the recipes describe the more general concepts. So all these things comes under when we are configure when it comes under the configuration tool. Now next is the scalability. Both Chef and Puppet are very easily scalable. So scalable means we can add upon as many nodes as we wish. So that is called scalability. They can both handle large infrastructure provided the user provides the IP addresses and the host name of those nodes that need to be configured. So as and when new node joins the stream, if the Chef and the Puppet both are able to just adapt the which is newly joined nodes. So it also helps to configure the newly joined nodes once if you give the IP addresses and the host name of the node. The tools will handle the rest. So the tools are so capable that they will be able to handle the rest of the functionalities. Then the language, configuration language, Chef uses Ruby DSL, that is a domain specific language, a developer oriented language that is challenging to learn. Whereas Puppet employs the above mentioned Puppet DSL, another difficult to learn the language. That means those languages are a little bit hard to learn. So they helps to configure the system. And regarding the interoperability, both the Chef server and the Ruby server work only on a Linux or Unix machine. Chef client and workstation can run on Windows, and Puppet agent is compatible with the Windows. So in the case of Chef, we name it as a client. In the case of Puppet, we call it as an agent. So actually it is all about the client and server, the master and the slave nodes. Okay, so there will be a main server wherein the clients are attached and the clients can get the service from the server. That is the general client server technology. Now here in the context of a Chef, we call it as a client, and in the context of Puppet, we call it as an agent. So they are compatible with the Windows. That means they are operable in the Windows platform. Let us see the pros and cons of these Puppets and Chef. First of all, the pros of the Puppet. The Puppet has the complete user interface. That means the user can interact comfortably with the environment. That is the complete user interface. And powerful reporting capabilities. That means the reports then and there, that is a state management. Okay, so the reports then and there can be easily and available in a proper manner. That is the powerful reporting capabilities. Which server is down, which node is down, which is up, what is the time it is up, all those are the report in between you can get from the configuration. And grants access to a well established support community. So it can grant access means the community, the nodes inside the community, they are able to access this type of tools. That is the grant access to a well established support community. Now what are all the cons is, there are some problems that support for pre-Ruby versions is in the process of being scaled back. That means the support is less. Its model driven approach equals less control when compared to the code driven approaches. So here that means the model driven approach means the approach, that is the configuration is the tool helps to configure the system using the model driven, means it simulates a model which is already being done. That is the model driven approach equals less control when compared to the code driven approaches. So here from the code we can derive the configuration, that is also possible, otherwise they can derive from the model. So since it is model based approach, it equals less control when compared to the code driven approach. That means the code driven approaches are far better than the model driven approach, but the Puppet has only the model driven approach. Advanced task requires a CLI, and since it is based on Ruby, you will need to familiar with the latest. So we have to learn the concept of CLI so that we can use the best to use the tool. Next we will see about the Chef's pros and cons. Its code-driven approach means greater flexibility and control of the configurations. We have seen in the opposite case there. Now that is the model-based approach where we are not able to get much flexibility. But in the case here it is code-driven approach. That means the greater flexibility is, that means the control will be with the configuration. We can control the configuration as just to change the code. That is the code-driven approach. That is the advantage here. And there is a tool called knife that helps to lessen the installation headache. So normally when you want to install any configuration tool, it needs some additional files to be installed, and the environment has to be set up. So all those things are the additional headaches. The installation headaches are much less with the help of the tool called knife in the case of chef. And it provides with an extensive collection of configuration and module recipes. So as we have the cookbooks with the chef, it has all the stored reusable modules. So we have a collection of configuration and the model recipes. What are the cons of this chef is it does not support push functionality. If you don't already know Ruby, then and a procedural coding, get ready for a steep learning curve. That means we have to put a lot of hard work to learn any procedural coding in order to use this chef. That is the cons in this chef. So that's all about the Puppet, and it says it is a complex tool. Okay, so that's all about the concept of chef and Puppet. So both are the tools which helps to do the configuration management. It's very simple and easy to follow. Thanks for watching.